the pretrial issues that we needed to address, as well as to the, I guess, the motion for unsupervised visits. And we are here to complete that portion of this hearing. Let me get my notes from the last one. There you are. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think when we stopped, we were at the cross-examination of Ms. Hubble. Is that where we stopped? No, we had already started.
We finished the counselor from the school.
We did Casey Cart from the
Okay,
school.
that's what I thought. All right. So we finished this card.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right, the next witness, Ms.
All right, so the other things that we would present today, judges, I did get a certified copy of the school records. I would ask that those be admitted,
All right, any objection?
and I've got copies of those for everybody.
I guess I would object if there's no one here to testify about what they're about, Kathy or Your Honor. And I think that would be more of an issue for the trial itself, again, than.
All right, let me ask, I guess particularly if they're, I'm not sure if I need to read the entire school record.
Right, and
Are there
there's-
issues, particular documents that you're asking?
Right, and they are, when you ask for school records, they sometimes give you more or less than you need. You kind of have to go with what occurs, but this is, it does have official school records and the discipline calendars, and for the months of August, September, October, and November, and December, I believe. And that is particularly what we would draw to the court's attention is that the mother had visits and then she was withheld from the child during October and November, and those two calendars. And October's kind of strange because they did two separate calendars. So there's not a lot of explanation in here as to why. It's like they mixed up a date or something. So there's two, yeah, there's a note on it, but there's two calendars for that. And then November, where you can see a lot of repeated outbursts and behaviors of the child. It would also just go to show these records, would show the number of the days the child has been suspended. I'll talk about that a little bit more in closing while under the care of the father. So that's why I would go ahead and admit them for this hearing.
It's for the purpose of her supervised visit. Let me, you're our next witness, aren't you? Tell me your name again.
Latasha Stevenson.
Yeah, if you'll step up in just a second, we'll call you right again. Then-
This is Whitney
Thank you.
Butler. She's a first year at Belmont.
Okay, wonderful. Awesome. Do you like it?
It's a love-hate relationship.
I understand. We've all been there. We've all been there. So, hey, tell me, connect that to why she should have unsupervised visits. The school records and disciplinary calendar, why that means she should have unsupervised.
Okay, well, part of what Mr. Guider made comments to Camelot was that the child did better when she wasn't with her, when she wasn't seeing her mom. That's in the Camelot record. So this goes for credibility on his part, if he's called to testify, as well as showing that this child needs relationship with her mom, and there's no reason for her to be supervised, which will be part of my closing argument.
And Your Honor, it doesn't.
I'm just gonna let it in.
Well, it doesn't, because there's nothing about, these records don't include the time before she started seeing her mom and before there were issues. So
Well,
for the purpose of not having this hearing take 10 days, I really want to limit it to what's actually at issue.
I'm gonna go ahead and let the records in,
And I
I'll
just-
review them and see if they have any.
Well, I
relevance.
just want to state it for the record, Your Honor, is that the guidance counselor was present to testify in regards to that, and she stated that no one could determine whether or not it was because the child was visiting or not visiting. I believe that testimony was clear from Ms. Cart, but on behalf of my client, I think it just shows the court how she's doing. I don't think it will help or hurt at any point, so I would support, Your Honor, these records coming in.
All right.
right, the other thing that I think is important to introduce to the court, and I mean, in closing argument, I will tell you, I mean, part of our position is that the father, there's no reason to have supervised visits, and the fathers continue to create issues for mom having visits. When you'll recall, when we were here before, we did have the librarian custodian of records, and she was subpoenaed to bring the surveillance cameras from that last visit, which I would introduce to the court. In particular, at 1 o'clock is when what you can see on the video is at 1 o'clock when Ms. Stevens terminated the visit. You can see them walking through the library, Delara clinging onto her mother, and just that whole process of Mr. Guider following her with the cell phone cameras. So it's about 30 minutes, that whole segment that I brought my computer to play it on, and I would like to introduce that because I think it does show his intentional interference with that relationship.
All right, any objection?
And Your Honor, my objection again would be if we're trying to use the records to show that Mr. Guider has interfered, I don't believe that that's going to be relevant in that point, because I think we're on why the school records are relevant.
No, we moved, she's talking about the library.
Okay, so we're going to the library thing. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought we were
Okay.
Any objection to the library?
None.
I don't have an objection other than I would think 30 minutes probably isn't necessary. Your Honor.
Well, unfortunately, that's
We'll
just the...
see how long it is. All right, we'll watch that next. Is there any way we could do Ms. Stevenson before we watch the?
I would love-
So that she don't have to stay here all night.
I'm okay with that.
All right, let's do Ms. Stevenson first, and then who's
Okay.
calling Ms. Stevenson?
That's fine.
I think, who's
Who's
the
the today?
I didn't.
The department. I think it came from the department.
Is it your witness?
Are you all planning to call her?
I was
think
planning to call
your
her.
witnesses first, so.
Well, we also did do a subpoena ducis tecum for Camelot to produce records.
Right.
And we were told she was the custodian of those records, so I don't know if she has those with us, with her. If not, I have most of those records. There's a couple I'm missing. I would call her to authenticate those records. So do you
Come on up,
have?
Ms. Stevenson, let me get you under oath. If you raise your right hand for me, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, help you God?
Yes.
All right, and just have a seat. We can get to that question. I'm just asking, who's calling her first? Who's
Well,
calling?
I'll do that. I'll go
All
ahead and
right,
ask
thank
her
you,
that
Ms.
then.
Franklin.
State your name for the record, please, ma'am.
Latasha Stevenson,
And how are you employed?
Camelot,
And what is your role there?
Camelot Director of Preservation, PS.
Okay, and there was a subpoena issued to Camelot for a production of records by the custodian of records. Information was conveyed to us that you would be the custodian of records and would bring those to court. Do you have those?
I do not. Information was conveyed that you actually be picking up the records. We do have the records though.
Okay, I'm going to show you a copy of the subpoena. Were you shown a copy of that subpoena?
No, my office manager was saying she need the actual chart that the request is, and I gave her the chart, and she took care of the records and said she would be picking them up.
All right, I would mark this as the next exhibit. This clearly is a subpoena ducis tecum for them to produce the records today. I want that on the record that they've not brought them.
Any objection?
No.
All right, that brings us to number 2, or excuse me, number 4, sorry.
All right, Ms. Stevens, you are familiar with the record-keeping system at Camelot, is that correct?
I'm not sure. It depends. Technically, our office manager actually keeps the records, so it depends on the severity of the question.
Okay, well, let me just show you these. I've got these in 2 sections. So, first of all, I will show you this stack of documents.
Your Honor, I do apologize for interrupting or intervening. We were saying was number 4, Camelot Records would,
Yes,
the subpoena would be number 4.
yes, ma'am.
And just so we're clear for the record purposes, what was number 3, number 2, and number 1?
Number 3 was the school records that we just did.
Okay,
Number 1 and 2 were from,
because I thought we did last time the library camera already.
I don't think we marked it. We didn't mark it, we just
Mr. Holmes,
released her.
Okay.
May I,
I got too much stuff up here.
while we're doing that, can I, if we're gonna show our videos, should I go ahead and send those to James so that he has them to show on the screen later? Is that the best way to do it?
What do you have
Right now, it's just on, saved to my computer.
on? Yeah.
Okay, and what is the Wi-Fi password, then we may be able to do that?
Oh, we can't give it out loud? I'll do it for you.
I don't know. I never have it, but I've never used it. Thank you, Ms. Maggie.
When I talked to Janet and Camelot this morning at 11, she said she was going to text Natasha and tell Natasha to pick up. Okay, may I proceed?
You may.
Okay, so I've given you a stack of documents that appear to be Camelot Family Preservation Services case note and monthly summary. Have you seen that type of a documentation before with Camelot?
Yes.
And do you have, did you have, say you have a supervisory role there?
Yes.
All right, these particular records appear to be, let me see, people. Where's the name of the worker on here?
These are 3 different sets of notes. So this is-
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. And who is that worker?
The name is in here is Judy.
Okay, so we have Judith Mullins, and was she employed at Camelot?
Yes, she was the one that actually conducted the visit during that time.
And she had a duty and a responsibility to make these notes contemporaneous as to when she conducted the visits. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that, her note is dated August the 31st, 2016,
Okay, correct.
right?
Yes.
And that is for her visits that she conducted, and it looks like from August the 1st through, what's the last day?
It's the month of August.
For the month of August, okay? All right, and then if you will flip behind that is actually July, is that correct? And again, is that the same type of format that Camelot uses to record the activities of supervised visitation?
Correct.
And these are signed, can you tell whose signature that is?
Actually, it's 3 different notes, so this particular page doesn't have the actual signature sheet attached to it. It's just page 5, and this is page 1. See this middle section right here?
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't have the actual, this signature sheet that should be attached to it.
Okay. And then the last section is July, is that correct? And can you tell whose signature is on that?
The last is Waleed, for the month of June. The last is for the month of June. No June services.
Okay. All right, so, and who did the visitation supervision for the month of July?
July is the one that's missing the signature.
Okay, can you tell from the notes
No.
who is taking
It's
that?
typed up.
Okay. Could they have been presented along and signed along with the ones that Ms. Mullins filed in August?
No, they're presented each month separately.
Okay, all right, I'll look at it, see if I have that separately. All right, I would go ahead and mark those as Camelot records for the month of, for June, July, and August.
Well, I would just object if there's any hearsay that's gonna be drawn out of them, Your Honor, because it's not clear who made the notes, and if that person's not here to answer questions about the meaning of the notes.
Well, these are records kept at or near the time of business, and there's a reported case on this too, because I argued something similar against the Exchange Club because they were putting their notes in from their visitation, and the Court of Appeals, even though I said that that was hearsay, the Court of Appeals stated that those were records kept at or near the time of business for the business that they normally conducted, and so therefore it was admissible as a business record.
Now, you talking about any particular hearsay statements within the
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
records?
objecting to the records in general coming in, but if we're gonna go towards any specific statements made, we need to have a person here to testify more about what they meant when they put those in and give more details about what was going on.
And you seen them, like, do you know, is there anything in the notes that you are
No,
particularly objecting?
I don't know, I mean, what questions will come up, I wouldn't just generally be okay with them.
All right, well, let me let you, I guess, while she's testifying, let you look through them and see if there's particular statements of those records that need to be maybe redacted or whited out.
Okay, well,
And Your Honor, on behalf of my client, Ms. Abigail Gadere, as guardian ad litem, Your Honor, these are normal records that we would normally receive anyway. Whether last week we were here where we were asking for records from the Department of Children's Services, and we would actually have gotten these exact same records. Again, it would be my opinion and my position, Your Honor, that the records normally should come in.
I think the records should come in for sure,
But
but
if-
if there could be some hearsay within the records.
Right,
that
and we
could
could-
be arguably not admissible, and so I'll give her an opportunity to look through them and see if there's anything that, the records in general can come in, but if there are some statements that might need to be redacted, then we can do that.
and again, I would just say that it is a hearsay exception. Business records are, so I would ask that they be marked as an exhibit.
Business records are definitely an exception, but I think there still can be some hearsay within business, like we do that with DCS records all the time, we may have to redact
Right.
the statement. So there could be, and I don't know if she knows or not, but there could be some statements that do need to be
And
redacted.
I don't have a copy, so I don't know.
All right.
Okay, go ahead and mark that.
You need a minute to
Should
go
have
through
a-
them before she starts testifying, so.
I'm not going to ask any further questions on it. I'm just going to admit them. She should have a copy. They're Camelot records.
I haven't been provided a copy.
I mean, let me see if I have an extra one.
I guess I was asking, do you need a break, or can you read it while she's?
I can read while she says.
Actually, there's an extra copy, so would you hand that one back to the court officer and you can have that? I'm sorry.
She said hand it back to the court officer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would mark those as an exhibit, please.
Before we mark them, let me see if there's anything that we need to have redacted from them. I guess you can go ahead and put the exhibit slip on them, because they are gonna come in.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start on the next set. And here's. Well, Ms. Stevens, now I've provided you records that we received. These also appear to be on a format which it states Camelot Family Preservation Services case note and monthly summary. Is that right?
Yes.
And it looks like from these records, the first date entry I see here is September 23rd, 2016. Is that what you see as well?
Yes.
Now, there is an indication on page 3 of that first section that Tracy Rose was the counselor therapist that made the entry of these records. Is that right? All right, and then if you'll flip past that, that appears to be an entry of 10/20/2016 on the same case involving Abigail Guider. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if you look at page 3 of those records, it also appears that Tracy Rose was the counselor/therapist that made those entries in the records. Is that right?
Correct.
Then if you look at the next set, it is, also appears to be Camelot Family Preservation Services case notes and monthly summary. Is that right?
Correct.
It looks like there are entries on November 18th and November the 25th. Is that right? And 26th. Is that right? These also appear to be notes and entries that were made by counselor/therapist Tracy Rose. Is that right?
Correct.
And Tracy Rose was an employee of Camelot at that time. Is that correct? And then on The next page appears to be an email from Tracy Rose to Lee Clark at tn.gov. Do you see that? And Tracy Rose, if you see at the bottom of that page, it says In-Home Care Coordinator, Family Preservation Camelot Care Centers. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, I noticed on her email it says tracy.rose@pathways.com. Can you tell me why it would say Pathways on business correspondence that Tracy Rose would have in this
It's
case?
our sister company.
Okay, so that doesn't surprise you, right? That would be her email.
Yes.
All right, and and the next page is, again, correspondence between Tracy Rose and you at the bottom, Latasha Stevenson, correct? And then also some communications sent to Ms. Lydia Hubble, is that right?
Correct.
Now, looking right in the middle of the page, and it looks like the CC was to lee.clark@tn.gov as well, is that correct?
Correct.
These appear to be dated October the 21st, 2016, is that right?
Correct.
All right, and I'm sorry, if you'll flip back that last page before that, that communication is September the 27th, 2016, is that right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And then that last page is just part of that communication from October 21st.
Yes.
And that would have been communication that Ms. Tracy Rose would have engaged in as part of her role and the services she was providing through Camelot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, again, I would go ahead and ask that these be marked as the next exhibit and entered into evidence, and I've given a copy of it.
And we'll mark those exhibit number 6 with the same caveat that Ms. Reese would have opportunity to look through those as well to see if there's anything that needs to be redacted. That's not redacted. This one's not yet anyway.
And Ms. Stevenson, it's my understanding that you provided services for one visit. Is that correct?
Correct.
And can you tell me how you came to be involved in providing those services?
Well, again, I'm the supervisor of Tracy as well as Judy on leave. So Tracy actually texted me her concerns. She was saying she really doesn't feel comfortable. And she was being a little, I actually have the exact text message if you wanted me to read through that, but she wanted me to come and observe and do the visit for that
Okay.
particular time.
Okay. And did you notify Ms. Hubble?
No, I told Tracy to go ahead and schedule everything, set it up. I told her the length of time I'll be available, and yeah, I texted them that morning. I think to let them know I was on the way to the library.
Okay. Now, before you started the visit, did you review the juvenile court order?
Yes, well, that was reviewed, I think when Tracy got on the case originally, as far as like the ramifications of what should not be discussed and things like that. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking you if you actually looked at the actual court order. If you read the court order that caused supervised visits to commence.
No, did
Okay.
not, no.
All right, so you're talking about this other thing that you looked at, something else that you looked at. Can you describe what it was?
I have an email printed out actually, but Sanam just basically giving us, and Ms. Reese was basically saying, hey, this is what should not be discussed, things of that, what's permissible and things of that.
Okay.
So,
Do
yeah.
you have that, a copy of that with
I
you?
do.
Great.
Am I able to get up? and-
Yes.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, right here.
Okay, great. All right, what you handed me is an email dated November the 20th, 2016. It is from Sinan Guider to Tracy Rose, is that right?
Correct.
And it's copied to Sarah at ricemaples.com and to you, right? Okay. And it says Dolores Visitation. It says, "Hi Tracy, I'm attaching the current court order from juvenile court that addresses therapeutic visitation and what topics mother is not allowed to discuss with the child. If you could read the whole order, that would be appreciated. I will give you a good background. The visitation and the topics mother cannot discuss with the child is documented on page 9-10 per the current court order. Dolores stays with me full-time and is allowed only therapeutic visitations with her mother up to 4 hours per week. Mrs. Hubble wants to homeschool Delara, and she still advocates this in Delara's presence, even though the court ordered that Delara will attend regular school. Here are the topics Mrs. Hubble should not be talking."
Objection.
While Delara is
counsel
present.
testifying, or what is happening right
I'm
now?
just reading it into the record.
Right, that's not permissible. I'm
I think the
confused.
witness should be, if it's a witness, then the witness should be, if you're asking the witness to read the record. I'm not sure if there's, you to ask the question.
I don't know what the objection is.
I'm not
It's
sure
not
there's
a
a question
question.
before the witness.
It has to be a question. Are you asking a question?
I asked her if this was correct, what I'm reading into the record. Yes.
I'm gonna sustain that. I think she can read it herself and then.
Okay, I'm gonna have you pick up right here. Here is what?
Okay, here are what topics Ms. Hubble should not be talking while Delara is present. One, not say anything bad about Delara's current school arrangement. When she does this, Delara acts out at school and I am Gower. Her current school had to deal with a disruptive, unruly child. Two, not bring up the topic of homeschooling. Three, not say Delara should attend Cole Elementary, which is a school in her neighborhood, and Delara completed her K grade level at that school. Four, not say anything about the court proceedings like your father lied about court, what was done is illegal, judges in courts are corrupt, judges make mistakes, your father doesn't want me to see you, your father didn't want me to come have lunch with you at school, I'm fighting for us, and this is all quotations, I'm fighting for us and we succeed. Five, anything negatively about current custody arrangement, like we need to go back to how it was before. I trust you won't leave Delara alone with her mother and won't take phone calls during the visit. I will wait outside. If you need to take a break, you can leave Delara with me. Please make sure that you can hear everything Mrs. Hubble says. She likes to whisper to Delara's ear. Ms. Hubble is making child abuse allegations and she can make Delara lie. This is my another concern. She will make Delara lie about something that would get me in trouble. It is very important that you hear everything being said and not leave Delara alone with her mother. If Ms. Hubble doesn't respect these restrictions, she is in contempt of court order and we need to end the visit. I will go over these with you on the phone to make sure we're on the same page before next Saturday. And a copy of Ms. Stevenson, my attorney, Sarah Reed, since she'll probably be speaking with you as well. I also copy Ms. Stevenson.
Okay. All right, and it says attachment, final order from 9/15. Did you keep making a copy of that in your phone?
I didn't print that out though.
Okay, but you don't recall ever printing out that order or opening up that order and reading it?
Yes. No, I did not read it. But I didn't print it out and bring that with me.
But
Or
you
whatever
didn't read it?
attachment, correct. I
You didn't read it? Okay, I'm gonna have this marked as the next exhibit, and if he wouldn't mind making us copies of that when he gets a chance.
All right, any objections?
Diane.
All right, that'll be exhibit number 7.
What was the email date again? I'm sorry, November.
20. Now, other than this email, do you know where anywhere else in your record you were given instructions to end a visit?
Those are my instruction, period. If ever a child is unsafe, or if ever any of my counselors are unsafe, or if the visiting parent is being unruly, not following instructions, those are my instructions to end the visit.
Okay, where is that articulated to Ms. Hubble in some way, in some manner?
I don't know, I wasn't there for her first visit or anything like that, but it's articulated to my team.
All right, do you note of anything in your records prior to December 31st where Delara was not safe with her mother?
Prior to December 31st.
Well, let me just say prior to the one visit that you did at all. Was there anything documented that you signed off on that you saw in the records that Delara was unsafe with her mother?
With the exception of Tracy documenting some correspondence between Lydia and Delara, with the exception of that. Physically unsafe?
Mm-hmm.
No. But with the exception of her not abiding by the ramifications that we were actually giving Yeah,
from Mr. Guider?
correct.
Okay. All right, and during your visit that you did, was there any observations that you made that Delara was unsafe?
Once I told Lydia to not discuss homeschooling, and yeah, after that, I really felt like she was unsafe.
And what was it that was demonstrated that led you to believe she was
Lydia's
unsafe?
behavior, her conversation, she basically told me that I can't tell her what to do. I am a stranger. She asked Delara, is anything you want to say to the stranger? Are you not tired of, I'm not saying it verbatim, are you not tired of strangers being in our business? She mentioned, of course, this is Latasha, and then she said someone, another person, I have no idea who it is. And then I told her, well, if you continue communicating with things you're not supposed to say, then I'm going to have to end the visit. And then she just became basically a little abrasive and kind of, I'm not sure the exact word to use, but kind of just questioning her daughter. Is there anything you want to say to Miss Latasha? Do you like Miss Latasha? Is she being rude? Should you not have people, should you not have strangers in your business, like someone at school and Miss Latasha and Tracy and things of that sort? So I felt like that was very unsafe and unstable.
Did you record the visit?
I recorded certain incidents of the visit, yes.
What did you record? But you didn't record the whole visit?
No, I didn't record the whole visit, no.
Okay.
There was one incident which it's great volume when she was actually trying to take Delara from the visit place, which is the library. I think the police were there at that particular time, or one police came, it was a total of 3 or 4, I can't remember. And she was sitting down, I think having a conversation. I had that on my phone, I hadn't looked at it since then, but she started playing a tune after the cop was, I think, communicating with her about what was going on, what happened, and I think she pretty much tuned him out and started playing. I had that on my phone. There was another, we were actually still upstairs during the visit, and this was literally after I stopped her and told her to stop talking about homeschooling. I recorded something, but the volume is horrible, but the only thing you can technically see on it is her comment to Delara is, okay, let's act like we're on homeschool now. Let's act like we're in homeschool. So you can see a notepad or something like that, but I was sitting in a place where the recording was just horrible.
Okay, so you called Mr. Guider to come up to where you were.
Call, but I text. I'm not sure if he saw the text or what, but I was calling back to back, which I have a history of that as well.
And he came up to where you were doing the visit.
Correct.
And he followed you and Miss Hubble and her daughter all the way out of the library. Isn't that true?
We didn't leave the library.
Well, to the vestibule.
Yes.
And he got his phone out and he recorded her the whole time while you walked outside of the room, walked downstairs, and into the
I don't know.
vestibule.
And objection to counsel
I'll sustain that.
testifying?
I'll sustain that, this is direct.
So did you see him videotaping her the whole
I
time?
know one videotape he did where she was basically assaulting me. She was in my face when I told her, if you take her out of the library, I'm going to call the police again and tell them you're actually kidnapping her because the visit is supposed to be in the library. She got in my face, and I think he was recording for that particular session.
Okay, so you didn't see him recording the entire time?
No, I was more so focused on Delara.
And what was Delara's response to her mother when you were leaving the visitation?
She, unfortunately, was actually a little combative toward myself and her dad. Of course, she doesn't know me at all. I'm a stranger. And more so, she took the role of trying to defend her mom even when the cops was there.
Okay, how was she with her mom?
What do you mean?
How was she engaging with her mother?
She was clinging on to her. Lydia had her arm around her. She had her arm around Lydia.
Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, I'm going to pass the witness.
All right, cross-examination, Ms. Ross.
Commissioner, how long have you been familiar with this case, Ms. Stevenson?
I think we originally received the case in June, but even then, DCS, I wasn't really well versed on the case when I originally received it in June, not until, I guess, when we transferred it to Tracy, I think that's maybe September.
And there were a few different supervisors on this case, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it your understanding that the first supervisor was a man?
Yes, Waleed.
Waleed, and isn't it true that he was terminated from supervision per Ms. Hubbell's request?
No.
Okay, what was the reason that his supervision was terminated?
I actually think it was, I think Sanaa was comfortable with having the male monitor around her because we transport as well.
Okay,
So he was just concerned with safety. Actually, I think it was.
okay. And then the second supervisor was
Judy.
Judy. When Judy was supervising, were you made aware of some issues with Judy's supervision?
Yes.
And what were those issues?
Apparently Judy was taking phone calls during the visit when she shouldn't have been. I think that was the main thing. And then possibly language as well between Lydia and Talala. When they're assigned the case, the actual counselors, the technicians, they communicate with DCS. Often they're the ones that's actually supposed to know the details about the case as opposed to myself. So she could have been communicating with Leanne and getting more background on the case. I'm not sure. I know the main thing was her just basically not taking away monitoring correctly.
Okay. And it was your understanding that she was taking phone calls while the visitations were occurring?
Yes.
Was there also an issue of her discussing other cases in front of Lydia
Yes.
while these were occurring? And was there an issue of her permitting Lydia to say things which should not have been said during the visits?
Correct.
When you were made aware of these issues, was she then removed from supervising the case?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the time at which Tracy Rose was assigned supervision?
Yes.
Okay. Did Tracy Rose ever express to you any concerns about the visits?
Yes, which is why I ended up doing the last visit.
What were some of the concerns that she expressed?
Judge, she can't testify as to statements made to her. Anything documented in the records are already admitted into the court record, but that would be hearsay.
I'll say that.
When you were asked to step in to supervise, what were some of the things that you were looking for?
What were some of the things I was looking for? Well, basically, I don't know if I can, I want to say from Tracy's mouth, I'm not sure if I can actually say that. Okay. Some concern is Lydia's abrasiveness, a little bit too assertive. Tracy's a little bit more passive. So I was looking for basically her abiding by the rules, not discussing the court case, not discussing homeschool, not discussing her father, not discussing the teachers and things like that. She should have been literally working on safety pretty much, but yeah, just enjoying her time with her daughter.
And I meant to ask, in this email that was sent from Sanaa, he did.
That was upon our request. He sent that. I wanted that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you requested that he send a copy of the order, and he actually did attach a copy of the order to this email. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he actually said, please review it if you get a chance. Is that correct?
Correct, because we didn't get it with the original DCS when we originally received the report. We didn't.
Okay. Do any of these things that he has summarized seem unreasonable to you?
No.
That she not say anything bad about the current school arrangement? Does that seem unreasonable?
No.
Does it seem unreasonable that she not continue to bring up the topic of homeschooling?
No.
Does it seem unreasonable that she not discuss the court proceedings filed, including comments like, your father lied in court, what was done is illegal, judges and courts are corrupt, your father doesn't want me to see you?
No.
Does it seem unreasonable for her not to say anything negative about the current custody arrangement?
No.
Okay. So when you were brought in then to supervise, did you have some concerns based on what you saw?
She literally was not abiding by, this is the court order and these are the standards that's set for her. Lydia, Lydia was not abiding by what was set for her. Those are my concerns. And she does whisper. She grabs her and she whispers in her ear, so I'm not sure exactly what she's saying to her. So those are my concerns as well. And then just to see her behavior change when I address, hey, Lydia, let's redirect. Let's not talk about homeschooling. It's inappropriate. So yeah, those are my concerns. We're there to monitor the visit. We're the non-biased party. So the fact that we're pretty much setting the standards, and if you can't follow our rules, then you shouldn't be visiting.
Was it your understanding that Tracy Rose had actually attempted to end the visit in the past?
She did, and I actually told call the cops because again, Lydia became abrasive. She called me on the phone, and I think at that particular visit, I think Sanan was a couple of levels, maybe they were at the library, and he was maybe at the bottom level. She spoke with him, he told her, okay, just.
Judge, I'm going to object. She's talking about what Sanan said, but apparently said to somebody else, so unless it's in the records.
Without saying specifically what anyone had said, was there a visit when Ms. Rose contacted you because she wasn't sure how to proceed?
Ask and answer.
Okay, and when she contacted you, what was the advice that you gave her?
My advice was, in the visit, call the cops.
Okay, did she actually end up calling, or ending the visit to your knowledge?
She did not. She spoke with Dad instead of calling the cops. And when it had continued, I think it was like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes left.
Okay. All right, so you said that there were some concerns with the visit you were supervising and that it didn't seem like Mom was following the orders of the court, is that correct? What were some of the ways in which she was violating what you understood the orders to be?
Number one, the first one was speaking about the homeschooling. She did talk about school. I think she talked about, I guess Delara gets different colors based on her behavior in class and things like that. So she was talking about a particular teacher that gave her yellow. I'm not sure what yellow means and things like that. She did actually was talking about her, I think, kicking a teacher. I don't know details about that either. But I feel like it was inappropriate when she was going to homeschool when she was whispering as well. I mean, I think she mentioned the actual psychologist as far as like, she's telling me this.
So she mentioned the psychiatrist, was she saying things to Delara about what the psychiatrist had told her?
Correct.
Okay. Did she make any statements that you perceive as negative about Mr. Gadare to Delara?
No, not directly.
Did she make any indications that it was his fault that she wasn't allowed to see Delara more?
Yes, this is before Mr. Gadare came. Once he came, then yes, there was more conversation. You see how your dad is actually trying to keep us, because again, she's holding to her, clinging to her, and Delara is holding to her. So once Dad is there and we're blatantly trying to end the visit, you see, this is how they're trying to keep us apart. Your dad doesn't want us to see each other. Your dad doesn't want us to be around and things like that. So after that, yes.
Okay. And then you were the one who contacted Mr. Gadare to ask him to come to the library, is that correct?
Yes.
Because you were trying to end the visit, is that
Correct.
correct?
And I'm a stranger to Delara, so I know she wouldn't go with me. So I knew that Dad had to be there in order to actually do the visit. So yes.
Did you give Ms. Hubble any kind of warnings that if you keep this behavior up, I'm going to have to end the visit? How many times would you say you tried to warn her?
Well, twice, and that was when initially I said, okay, let's not talk about homeschool, go ahead and redirect, and then that's when she was saying, well, I can talk about anything I want to, this is my child, Delara, do you like strangers? That's when she went on that particular line of strangers being involved and things like
So she said something along the lines that I can talk about whatever I want to, this is my
that.
child?
This is my child, this is my right.
Okay. Was she respectful to you during this visit?
Before I interrupted her, not a mutual, just kind of, I wasn't disrespectful, it was just kind of like, okay, I'm here to visit my child, I'm here to watch her.
What about after you interrupted?
That was a little different. As I mentioned, that's when she came a little abrasive, and told me what she was gonna do, what her rights are, and this is her child and things like that. And then again, when we got downstairs, if you see it, I'm not sure exactly what videos you all have, but if you see the video, it's basically assault. She's in my face yelling at me, what are you gonna do? So
Okay. And you said that you took some videos as well, is that right?
I just have the one video that has, if any, the volume on it, that's when we're actually downstairs in the vestibule. The other video, we're actually still upstairs, it's when I told her to stop speaking of homeschool, but you can't see it, like my backpack is kind of blocking, you can't hear anything,
Can you describe to the court what that part of the visit was and why you decided to videotape it?
Right, I decided to videotape basically after I had, I think Sanan had responded to me. I called a couple of times and I didn't have the phone to check, but I would call and I can hear the ring, he wasn't answering. So I would text, and before the visit started, I know he said he was playing soccer or something like that. So I called maybe 5 times, text. Once he actually responded and I told him where we were, that's when I started videotaping. So it's basically her acting, because her whole thing was, okay, let's act as if we're in homeschool now. What do you like to read? Whatever the case, the conversation was. So I was just kind of recording her acting as if she was homeschooled.
Okay. And then the second video that you took where the sound is on, what is that video?
By that time, one officer, I think it was one officer that came, he was asking me what the problem was. I think Sanan had actually went to the car to actually get the court order, and he was trying to get the background information. He was just talking to Mom, and Mom was sitting on the floor thinking Indians down. Delara's next door playing a song and saying, I don't know, but I haven't watched the video
Okay.
basically.
And do you have that video with you?
I do, it's on my personal phone though.
Okay. Your Honor, I would move to play that video for the court.
All right, any objection?
I think I should be able to see it in advance, I don't.
All right,
I have no objection to that.
yeah, I'll step out and let y'all look at it.
Okay.
You go ahead and get it, I'm gonna step off for just a second, let y'all look at that real quick.
James, did you get an email from my assistant with this video?
Charlene, I want you to know,
You did?
I tell my daughter, you never lie. You never, especially don't lie to get your way. And if you ever do have to lie, it better be to save somebody's life, and you're gonna
If
have
y'all
to
wanna
answer to
see
God
the
for
video.
it. I never, he's trying to make her out to be a liar. He even told that, he's got them court records too. He's told Dr. Green she lies, and he's told the school she lies. He's the one that's in there.
This is, if you want to look at, let's see. This is the one that has, it has really bad volume. Warning. You see? This is really hard.
It's bad enough he's bearing false witness against me, but when he's bearing false witness against his own child, that's really sick, disgusting. What you think? I think so. And that's a one and a social recording. I don't say things that I don't, I just expect everybody's gonna take everything I say and record it or, single player. I don't think I said anything wrong. Didn't Tracy engage with you guys more? Yeah, especially after the first one, because, it takes a while to warm up to me. But Tracy was a lot more. And this specific on Tasha, it was just me and Laura reading the book until they decided to end it. Laura was reading, she read this entire book to me. It's like a fifth grade level book, so it's pretty long. Excuse me, don't talk to the witness in the middle of her testimony, please. She's under oath and she's in the middle of her testimony.
Ms. Regular,
Mm-hmm.
is her phone video coming in as a good?
I'm going to object to him, yeah.
Nay.
Hmm. I can't tell you how bad that makes me angry. It's just, he's the liar. I can't believe he's doing it to her.
Remain seated, court back in session.
All right. You all had a chance, back on the record.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all had a chance to review the,
We did take an opportunity to review it. I would like to let the court know that also, though, during the break, Ms. Rice engaged in a conversation with Ms. Stevenson while she's in the middle of her testimony, and I don't think that's appropriate. I'd like to know what they said.
I'm happy to tell the court what I said. I was asking questions about the sound quality on the second video she showed us and whether she could actually hear what was being said or if that was the quality of whether she could hear it or not.
all right, let me hear it. Let's see.
No, I'm going to enter an objection. First of all, there's two separate videos. For sure, on one, it's very clandestine. It appears to be she's holding it behind a backpack or something for about a minute and a half regarding the visitation. I mean, this is a business who engages in the supervision of visitation as a business. They keep a business record, which is their official business record, and unless she's going to record the entire visit and then submit that to the court, or present to the court an official business record, I think her clandestine recording behind a backpack is not only inappropriate. Ms. Hubble obviously is not know that this video recording is going on, and it's not part of her business records.
All right, I'll overrule the objection, I'll allow it in.
And the first video was actually the video downstairs once the police arrived. That's the one that I think we'll watch it first.
I guess,
Am I bringing it?
yeah, we'll get it from the court.
It's my personal phone, so please don't.
Is there a way that you can, I won't swipe anything else, I promise. Is there a way that you can
Just pull up.
email
Pull
the
up.
video to Mr. Holmes and I can look at it on the computer?
Let's see. Go into your photos.
Share.
Yeah, that should be it.
The file is too large.
Okay. Kind of.
Oh, it's too hard to email. Okay, I'll just look at it.
Just pull up the first video with the police. I think is the one that we're watching first.
Okay.
Get to that one.
And you have the sound up as well.
On that one, yes.
Okay.
I can.
Yeah, you come on. Yeah, trust me.
Yes.
She's not supposed to talk about homeschool as well as the court case with the child. And that's exactly what she was doing. I told her to stop. And then she basically was combative and then got the child involved and saying, okay, well, Miss Tasha's being mean. And I know you don't know things like that. And you want to just really inappropriate. So I called Dad, told him to visit. He doesn't want to touch the child while she's claiming it. So I was asking the security officer here, like literally when the incident initially started, and he told me I would have to call you guys. He wasn't helpful.
All right, we want to see the second one?
We can, that's fine.
Okay.
Can I ask you some questions about that one first, actually, before we
Yes,
decide?
you go ahead and see.
Right here, right here.
Right back over
Okay.
there.
Okay, so the police arrived, and you were the one who initially contacted the police, is that right?
Correct.
And that was after you felt as though Ms. Hubble was trying to take the child from the library, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And were you concerned about her trying to take the child from the library?
We were, literally, the next step was out the door.
Okay.
Yes.
When the police got there, did she do everything she could to help calm down the situation and keep the child calm?
No, it's like she enjoyed having, Delaware kind of advocate for her, like, Mama's not harming me, like, that's what she told the officer, so, no, she wasn't trying to assure her that it's gonna be okay, no, if that's the case, she would have needed to visit.
Did she put Delara in a situation where it seemed like Delara had to step in to advocate for her mom?
Yeah, not only that, but kind of choose between mom and dad, like, it was, I think it's an unfortunate situation for a child to actually be in, and it was 3 or 4 cops, so during that particular time, it's very uncomfortable and no, not conducive for a child at all.
And we see her in that video sitting on the floor playing her ukulele, completely ignoring the law enforcement, is that correct? Yes. She was not trying to comply with anyone, she was not trying to minimize the risk of emotional harm to this child.
No. And again, that video is after she got in my face, and what are you gonna do? Like, I can take my child wherever I wanna go, and that's when I threatened her with, we'll call the cops again and tell them you're kidnapped. So she did all this while her child was there.
So your first step was not to immediately call the cops,
No.
right?
No,
That
that's
was,
why.
that was an
Mom takes
absolute
it.
last resort.
Yes.
Okay. Now you have another video, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said the video and the sound on that one is not great, is that right?
So the second video, the sound is not great. The second video started after I told her to stop talking about homeschool. And that's when she was telling me I know my rights and things like that. So she continued. So that's when I grabbed, that's when I started recording, which technically is actually the first video. But,
Okay.
yeah.
And can you show that video to the court as well?
Same objection.
And the volume is really low.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So not a lot of that recording can be heard, right? Are there a few things that are audible in that recording? Is there at some point when she asked the child what the child has told her father?
Yes.
And is there some point for a period of time when she's asking the child whether Ms. Rose and then Natasha understand the child? Did she say something along the lines of, did you think it was mean when she interrupted me?
Judge, again, I'm going to object the same thing. She can't testify for the witness.
But she can ask me questions on cross. She's on cross.
Well, it's not, she just said it's not audible in the video, and then she,
That part
These-
was
these
audible.
were the parts
that were
That part's all overruled objection. I'm sorry, go ahead and ask. Yeah.
And did she at some point ask in that recording, did you think it was mean when she interrupted me?
Yes.
Was the attitude of Ms. Hubble during this time more of a, attitude that was trying to present a positive face of this visit to the child? Or was it more of an attitude that seemed to be trying to show the child that you and the team were the enemy?
Judge, I would object. She's not here to testify as an expert witness. She's a fact witness. I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. That's for the judge to render an
This
opinion.
isn't an expert, this is just a.
Overall, I think she's asking about Ms. Hubble's attitude during the visit. I think that's appropriate.
During the visit, no, it wasn't positive. It was definitely trying to present kind of like we're the enemies, we're against, we don't have children, we're strangers, things of that. So,
No further questions.
All right, Ms. Mack?
Yes, Your Honor. As I stated before, Your Honor, I'm gonna pull keep calling it the pulpit for the podium just because I'm sitting next to this. Good afternoon, Ms. Stevenson. How are you today?
I'll be better once I leave.
And I can understand that. Ms. Stevenson, can you again, just so we're clear, your capacity with Camelot is what again?
I'm the director of the program.
And as the director of the program, what do you do in that capacity?
More so administrative, I oversee all of the team members who actually do the visitations and the family support, review their cases, communicate with DCS, basically run the program.
Okay. So in running that program, you said family preservation. What is family preservation services?
We're wanting to preserve the family. We're going to actually keep the family unit together.
Okay.
DCS pretty much sends us the referral, and we're supposed to be that non-biased party that goes into the home or do the visits, whatever the case it is, and actually implement different services and intervention to keep the family together.
And based upon with you being that director administratively on that level,
Yes.
you in essence have been on the case this entire time that the department began to work the case, correct?
Overseeing, yes.
Yes, and you assign the actual supervisors on that case.
Yes.
And in your communication, when we talked about the email earlier, I'm sorry if that's been popping in my ear, in that email earlier, that you had requested from Mr. Gadea, correct?
Yes, I didn't want to make any mistakes.
Okay,
Yes.
and isn't it true that when you originally received this referral, it came from the Department of Children's Services?
Correct.
And at that point in time, Nicole Williams was the actual worker that provided this FPSG, whatever this
Yes.
referral.
Yes.
And in providing that referral, you just pretty much just got a generic referral for family visitation services,
Yes.
correct?
No details. Yes.
No details.
Yes.
And so with that, even before you actually received clearer details as to the specifics of the visitation guidelines, did you have some concerns based upon communicating with your supervisors in regards to those visitations?
Waleed was the original one that was on the case, with the exception of Dad's concern with, not feeling comfortable with the mail, or he started being a part of the mail. I don't know if I can say this because I'm saying what he's saying, but he had some concern basically about Lydia's mental state and not feeling comfortable to be on the case. Usually I don't take them off just because, you don't feel comfortable.
Judge, I'm going to object and move to strike the hearsay.
That was hearsay from the first gentleman.
Yes, the first,
Yeah,
yes.
I'll sustain.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor. In regard, I'm sorry, let me strike that before I take that step. In regards to your capacity as a director, you have like team meetings with your case managers in regards to how the cases are going?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And based upon how those cases are going, do you make recommendations or suggestions to what type of interventions and services can be placed on that case management? And based upon your meeting with Mr. Waleed, not what he said, but what was your suggestion or recommendation that should be guiding that visitation with the mother at that point in time?
As far as the interventions that we wanted to
As far as the interventions and services?
Yes,
ma'am.
our main goals for this particular case was communication and safety.
Okay,
Yeah.
communication and safety. Now, if I look, and I'm going to have permission now to approach the witness, I'm just going to go to Mr. Waleed back in June of 2016. You said that was Mr. Waleed that originally started?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Waleed, at that point in time, if you can tell the court, just so it's clear for the record, if you look at the top portion here, it has where it says services provided, there's marked here, it says family visitation services.
Yes.
Can you tell the court, really quickly before I go to the next question, family visitation services, what does that entail for your department?
It's supervised visitation, and it's basically, our ultimate goal is reunification.
Okay.
Reunify.
And with that satisfied on somewhere on the other ones, it has goals addressed on some of the other ones, reunification.
Correct.
When you say reunification, what is the approach in regards to reunification for your department?
Usually we have the narrative that we're calling from DCS is saying, hey, parents need to work on this.
Okay,
So our goals are always to implement different interventions. Sometimes they need a parenting
Okay.
assessment, or sometimes we need to work on budgeting. In most cases, it is safety for the parent. That can be something that's just cleanliness, making sure the home is safe for like a 2-year-old, and not things on the ground, as well as the environment. So it depends on that specific case.
so in regards to Mr. Walid, if we can go to, I do believe my colleagues have this was entered into the record, Camelot notes from June 2016, it was entered as a collective exhibit. If we go to June 2016, could you go to page 2, before we go to page 2, on this particular one, it does not have, for Mr. Walid at that point in time, actually what you're working on in the first 2 pages, but on page 3, what does it read at that bottom line there?
And Your Honor, for the purposes of completeness, you should read the whole entry.
And she's going to read it, the bottom line with the purpose of the services.
I'm sorry.
To be able to rebuild a healthy relationship between the mother and the client instead of an obsessive one like the mother currently seems to have.
Okay, and based on, have you ever reviewed these records on your own?
Yes.
Okay, line item on page 3, line item, I want to say about that. If you could, I'm just going to go back, I'm sorry, so we're clear for the record for purposes of appeal, Your Honor. If we could start at page 2. Start at page 2 of Mr. Walid's notes of the June 2016 observation notes, if you could.
Start from the beginning of.
Start from the beginning of page 2.
I met the father at the front library, and he introduced himself and the child to me. Me and the client went to the children's section for her to meet her mother. When we were there, the mother began to speak with the child and asking her normal things for her to be, as in what have you been up to the past year, anything new you learned, and so forth. She seemed very physical with her child, keeping her sitting in her lap, though the child made her way to get up a couple of times. But the mother did not seem totally uncomfortable with her mother. Guessing the child. She even said she had missed her and was thinking that she was looking forward to the idea of going home with her. But the client never said she wanted to go to her house for her mother, but rather for her old friends and some of the animals they had at home. Now, the mother also continued to push the idea that homeschool was what was going to happen if she came back to her, because she thinks it's better for her. Though the child had said she enjoyed normal public school more so. It is obvious that the mother has a control complex and wants the child to be with her and next to her at all times, as well as think of things the same way as her. When she asked the client if she was upset with her father, the client avoided the question, but the mother persuaded and tried to lead her to an answer rather than letting her form her own opinion. She was very loving to the child, though, and tried to stay away, for the most part, of the heavier topics. Though the few times she did, you can see how uncomfortable it made the client. After a time of sitting, we went outside and the mother tried to show the client how to play some chords on her uncle. I'm sorry, how do you pronounce that?
Ukulele.
Ukulele. In which the client did not seem to be focused on, but rather just wanted to hang out, where you could see the mother frustration come out more and more when the client could just keep changing the subject and ask about the lyrics, staying off topic from the lesson. Rather than going with it and speaking her about things, she was just snap at her and tell her to pay attention. Here's where I visit. Here's where we ended our visit.
And a correction, it does not say persuade, it says pursued.
Pursuit, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So would it be safe to say that in June of 2016, if you can go on to page 4, it says client observations and caretaker observations and clinical clinician observations, it's not really clear, it's kind of faded on here, Your Honor. What were the recommendations, what were those observations, ma'am?
Client observation, I noticed with the client that she loves her mother and was happy to be reunited with her. But I could tell that she felt pressure at times by the mother to answer certain ways and how much she missed her and how much she loved her, rather than let the child say these things or organically. Caretaker observation. The mother does not see any issue with how she acts, So I have to be able to work on this and show her a better way to be with her daughter, to give her space and at the same time allow her to have her own opinion about the mother toward her father in the situation. Clinician observation. I see that there is a genuine bond between the mother and the daughter, but they need time to reestablish this in the proper way, and it cannot be forced like the mother would seem to like it to be. So I have to bring this up when I feel as if the mother is overstepping a bounds at any time to make sure that this relationship can be rebuilt the best way possible.
So would it be safe to say that the overall goal, where he said on page, or where your notes basically said on page 3, to be able to rebuild a healthy relationship between the mother and the client instead of an obsessive one like the mother currently has been portraying?
Yes.
Is it safe to say that the goal of these therapeutic services, based upon your observation and your understanding, as well as your comprehension from the referral, is to help the mother build an appropriate line of communication with her daughter?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to go in, because I believe the record is clear, that is entered into the record. Was that also an issue in the month of August for the mother, with appropriate communication and not discussing homeschool issues and things like that with Delara at that point in time?
I cannot.
If you can't recall, I'll refresh your
Yeah, I can't
recollection. If you please the court, August, because we skipped over July, but again, we're going to go into the month of August. I'm just going to keep that together. In the month of August, who was the therapeutic or supervisor, what do you call them, I'm sorry?
The in-home counselor.
Who was the in-home counselor or caretaker in the month of August?
Judy.
Judy, and in July, would it have been Judy as well?
Yes.
Okay, because in June, you said it was Mr. Waleed, right? All right, so let's go into the month of August right now. That's where my focus is right now. In the month of August, it was Judith Mullins, okay?
Yes.
And if we could, our permission to approach the witness.
Okay.
In the month of August, if we go into page 3 of Miss Judith Mullins' in-home counseling notes, if you could read that item.
Your Honor, if we're going to read the case notes into the record, we need to do the complete thing, going from July to August to September. If she's just reading the case notes, the court can read those.
If you read one note, and so she can read some notes as well. And I'll have the records, very part of the exhibit, part of the record.
Case manager arrived at Library at the Green Hills with a supervised visit. Ms. Hubble was already there when Delara arrived. Case manager met with Mr. Gadir and then escorted Delara to meet with her mother. Ms. Hubble thanked case manager and then hugged Delara, and they sat down and talked. Conversation remained appropriate, and they went to the bookshelves and began reading and asking each other questions. Delara appeared to be excited when she was talking about school and appeared to want to impress her mother with her knowledge of anything. The visit went well, and they went outside for a short time for Delara to write on the sidewalk and then spell out words. Ms. Hubble talked about school and how she wanted to return to homeschooling her. Case manager suggested that might be a conversation she has with the FSW when Delara returns to Ms. Hubble. The visit was over, and Ms. Hubble wanted to make sure that the visit was Mr. Gadir. Mr. Gadir was informed and aware of the scheduled visit for Saturday. Case manager assured Ms. Hubble that Mr. Gadir was in agreement for Saturday. She hugged and kissed Delara goodbye, and case manager escorted her to meet with Mr. Gadir. Read the whole month or just that particular day?
This goes in, I guess, to August 6th. Your Honor, the way the notes are actually done, that's August 4th.
Which one did you just read?
That she read, I'm sorry, for the record, Your Honor, Miss Latasha Stevenson read page 3, the visit on August 4th, 2016 at 11 a.m. for a 2-hour visitation. And I'm not going to go into that next one. But if we can go now into August 20th on page 5, where at this point in time, I'm going to ask you some questions about, before you go into that. Based upon your knowledge and information with this case, was Delara having some behavioral issues before August of 2016? Do you remember?
I don't know.
You don't recall? Okay. Now, if we can go to, if we can read page 5 of the August 2016 visitation notes, starting at page 5 and going on to, it actually goes on to page 7, I do believe, and let me make sure it's correct. It's a rather lengthy note.
So what-
And I don't want her to summarize, but I want it for the record.
Okay, what are you reading? I'm sorry.
She's reading the observation, the visitation observation from August 20th, 2016. Line item 2, actually, that whole visitation goes on to page 7. If you could, ma'am, and speak slowly and clearly for the record.
Okay. Case manager met with Ms. Hubble at Edwin Warner Park for a visit. When Mr. Goodyear dropped off Delara, he stated that he may not be back in time when the visit was over, and asked case manager to drop her off at the children's playroom, drop-in childcare. Delara immediately said that she didn't want to go. Mr. Goodyear told her that was a location that she liked and thanked the case manager and left. Case manager, Ms. Hubble, and Delara sat outside. During the visit, Ms. Hubble asked Delara how school went, and she said it was fine. Delara stated that she wants to be home with her mother and things back to the way it used to be. Ms. Hubble told Delara that she is trying and had a court date coming up to get unsupervised visits if possible overnight. Delara pouted when she was corrected on her behavior. Ms. Hubble walked to a table outside and watched the ladies tag hummingbirds, and she and Delara then walked to the garden to look at the vegetables. The visit ended, and Delara was escorted by her mother to the case manager's vehicle and reminded about putting her feet on the floor and not in the seat. Ms. Hubble kissed Delara goodbye and she left. Case manager arrived at the children's playroom and Delara opened the truck door, but then refused to close it. Case manager asked several times for her to close the door, and she stated no, and proceeded to walk toward the door. Case manager walked up to Delara and escorted her back to the truck and asked her again to close the door, and she continued to refuse. Case manager then reached for the bag that her mother gave her and told Delara that she would get the bag when she closed the door. At that moment, she proceeded to kick case manager in the leg and began yelling and screaming, fussing to
Refusing.
screaming, refusing to then enter the facility. Case manager managed to get her in the facility, and the staff began to speak with her. She then tried to fight the facility staff and continued to kick and scream because she did not want to be there. The case manager took her bag inside the center to send it home with her, and then called Mr. Goodyear to tell him about Delara's behavior. He told case manager he was getting a call from the facility and would speak with case manager after he picked up Delara. Mr. Goodyear returned the phone call to case manager and apologized for her behavior. Case manager then received a phone call from Ms. Hubble asking what happened when Delara was dropped off. Case manager informed her that Delara kicked her and scratched case manager due to not getting her way and was very disrespectful, not want to follow directions. Ms. Hubble apologized for Delara's behavior and said that Delara would not get back in case manager's truck. Case manager thanked Ms. Hubble and told that they would further discuss her behavior on the next visit.
And I'm gonna not just,
Okay. Okay.
you guys provided from the month of June, July, and August,
Yes.
family preservation services to Ms. Hubble and to the Goodyear family.
Yes.
In the month of August, were there any recommendations to your knowledge, or by you and your team, to discontinue for compliance or completing those 2 or 3 months of services?
No.
None. Okay, no recommendations in August. What about in the month of September? Did you all make any recommendations that you had obtained the goal of, what did Mr. Walid say, appropriate?
Reunification and appropriate communication, unity, no.
Okay, so in the month of October 2016, did anyone provide, or you or your team, or your agency as a whole, provide any therapeutic notes or any letters of recommendation that this family was ready to step down or had completed services?
No.
In the month of November 2016, did anyone in your team provide recommendations that this family had completed the services and was in compliance with appropriate communication and ready to step down?
No.
In the month of December 2016, did you or anyone, Ms. Rose at that time, provide any recommendations in this packet of information or to your knowledge that mother had obtained appropriate communication with the child and that this family was ready to close this family preservation case and move to the next step?
No, ma'am.
In the month of January of 2017, had anyone from your department or any of your staff members put in a therapeutic recommendation for this case to close because of completion of the services in progress in regards to the visitation observations?
No, ma'am.
In the month of February, where we are currently right now, has anyone from your team, your agency, put in any recommendations for this case to close because the mother has successfully completed the goal which you guys originally set in June of 2016?
No, that wouldn't be possible after my visit in January.
I just want you to
Okay,
respond to
sorry.
that. Okay?
No, ma'am.
So have, on a positive basis for the mother and her compliance with your recommendations,
No.
has anyone at that point on a negative aspect, for non-compliance with appropriate communication and following through with the guidelines that you all recommended, Mr. Waleed, back in June, have you guys closed the case for non-compliance with your own recommendations in providing services to this family?
And safety.
And
Yes.
safety?
Not only non-compliance, but for safety of my staff.
Okay. So, Miss Natasha, you've heard my colleagues both question you, and we talked about some things that were inappropriate that you recorded. Miss Natasha, at that point in time that you picked up your phone, did you have a safety concern at that point in time when you picked up your phone to record?
Absolutely.
Did you also have a concern to be able to verify if there were ever any allegations against you for what you may have done inappropriately? Did you not pick up your phone to protect yourself?
Yes.
Did you ever discuss with Ms. Hubble that you were going to pick up your phone and record these incidents if she didn't stop her behavior?
No, I told her I would end the visit if she didn't stop.
And did you make the efforts and the attempts to end those visits?
Yes.
Did you, at that point in time, in making those efforts to end those visits, did you fear for the safety of yourself as well as for Delara at that point in time?
Yes.
Even though, despite Delara clinging to her mother, you still had fear for her safety?
Absolutely.
What kind of safety did you fear for Delara?
Physically, psychologically, mentally. Once, I've never seen this before, first of all, and I've been doing this for 3 years. Once I told Ms. Hubble, okay, stop talking about homeschooling and dad, and we're gonna end the visit. Just her response in general, and I knew, I literally can show you me texting Sanan that day saying, hurry, hurry, please come. I knew I couldn't ask Delara to come to me. I knew that Ms. Hubble wouldn't comply in the visit, and even when Sanan came, she still would not comply in the visit I told her. When I saw that off the elevator and he came, I said, okay, Ms. Hubble, the visit is ended. I'm the monitor here, I'm the supervisor, I have ended the visit because you have not complied. She disregarded as if I was speaking a different language. I've never experienced that a day in my life. So physically, yes, I didn't feel like Delara was safe or myself, and psychologically, the fact that it was okay for her to allow her daughter to sit there and witness all of that, and the daughter is combating the police officer, like advocating for her, that's not okay, that's not healthy.
I've seen the video, but again, oftentimes there's some things that are not captured on video. At any point did Ms. Hubble say, let me get my daughter to a safe place so we can talk to the adults? Did she ever say, let me get my daughter to a safe place so she doesn't have to witness any of this? Let us go ahead and talk, and let the adults deal with these issues.
No, ma'am. She started making allegations against Sanan when Sanan came up off the elevator to get Delara. No.
Even when law enforcement arrived, at any point did Ms. Hubble say to the law enforcement, if you could, please let my daughter go to another room, or anything to the such, so we as the adults can talk in a calm and respectful manner? Did she ever make those suggestions?
No.
Did Mr. Gadare ever make those suggestions?
Yes. He asked if Delara could actually be removed. Either she can go with myself or him. No, that wasn't honored, no.
Miss, and I understand that you are the supervisor for all of these other people, and they have to respond to you, correct? And you have to oversee everything that they do, correct? At this point in time, is it your testimony that the recommendation is that Ms. Hubble has not achieved the goal of appropriate communication with Delara?
Correct.
Now, I want to ask you something very specifically in regards to that. If you all knew that that was the goal, what did you implement? What strategy, what model did you all use to assist this mother in having appropriate communication, other than saying you can't say that?
What do you mean as far as like our intervention? We have
Your intervention, yes ma'am.
We have a curriculum that we follow, depending on our main goals, but with her it's been communication and reunification. Because like I said, we have domestic violence and family support, things of that. So we implement a nurturing parenting curriculum to where it takes us through different steps and depending on the appropriate age of the child.
Okay. The nurturing parenting curriculum.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to sound snotty or disrespectful in any way, but isn't it true when someone tries to make recommendations to Ms. Hubble of what would be appropriate, she tends to tell you what she believes is really appropriate?
Yes.
It can be challenging,
Yes. Yes.
but isn't it understandable that she would be frustrated that she hasn't seen her child in such a long time?
Absolutely.
Isn't it understandable that she would want for her child to kind of be able to make up all of that time and be kind of stressed out and feel that pressure herself, correct?
Yes.
That's normal.
Yes.
Okay, then if we know that, then what did you all recommend that she do outside of, or even to prepare herself for visitations with Delara?
Outside, we didn't make any recommendations. That's usually DCS's outside
Now,
recommendations.
you said earlier that you guys make recommendations for if they need certain services.
Yeah, but not for her. We couldn't make recommendations. We can't make recommendations for like the psych eval and things like that. We can make recommendations as far as like taking different budgeting classes, things like that. Recommendations for other parents as far
But
as.
you just said earlier that your worker had concerns with her mental stability.
Judge, I moved to strike that. You struck that from the record. It was hearsay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You also said that you had concerns for Delara's psychological issues.
Yes.
Did you make any recommendations from that at all?
No. To Ms. Hubble?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
To Mr. Gadare?
Yes, I did, after that
Okay.
particular visit. Yes.
Okay, what were your recommendations to Mr. Gadare based upon your observation of Delara? Because I want to take the focus
Yes.
off Ms. Hubble.
Yeah, I literally texted him, and again, I have,
I'm just
I literally
wondering what
texted
you
him
can
and
tell
said,
me.
is she seen, please tell me she's actually seen a therapist, or she has a psychologist that she's actually seen on a regular basis.
Okay.
And I actually apologized, I was like, I apologize that she actually had to go through that and experience that, but please tell me that she's seen some type of therapist or psychologist on a regular basis.
So you had concerns after what she saw that day for
Yes.
the trauma, her being
Yes.
traumatized by that, but you had no proof that she was actually traumatized by that.
Correct.
But you had concerns that, okay.
She does. I can't be there at the same time.
Now, once you made those recommendations or concerns, did you ever reach out to Delara's therapist or anyone in regards to that?
No, he told me she was seeing someone, and I was content with that.
You heard when we were here last week that your plan is, or Camelot, is it Camelot Cares? Pathways, whichever one it is on that email thing, that you guys are no longer going to be accepting the referral for services to provide to Ms. Hubble.
I sent the email.
You sent the email, and so if the court were to order at this point in time until that was closed for you all to continue, I mean, again, had your entire agency said we're no longer doing this? Okay,
Our safety is at risk, so no.
and you say your safety is at risk?
Is at risk by monitoring these visits, no.
Did you really feel unsafe when Ms. Hubble got in your face, is what you're telling the court?
I've never had to call the cops, never. None of my staff have ever had to call the cops.
Did she raise her hand to hit you?
No, she didn't raise her hand.
Did
to
she
hit me.
push you in any kind of way?
No, she didn't push me.
But at the point in time, can you tell the court how close she was in your face? Can you demonstrate? With your hand to your face?
Yeah, she was this close to where she wanted to spit on me. She could have. She was in my face. Yeah.
What did she say when she was in your face?
I can't remember again verbatim, but it was more so she was trying to leave. She literally was trying to walk out, and I told her, if you leave, I'm going to tell them you're actually kidnapping your daughter. Well, whose right is that? Just yelling out something. I have no
But,
idea.
and let me just say, as part of mine, I've never seen Ms. Hubble become violent in any way, other than her just being argumentative. Did she ever threaten to harm you in any way?
No.
Did she ever threaten to take Delara from the facility without, even after you told her that you, where did she threaten to take Delara?
She didn't give me a location. We're leaving. We're headed out of here. And that's when I told her, if you leave, I'm going to tell them you're kidnapping. That's when she turns and who? You're going to tell who? I have my rights and whatever.
Ms. Stevenson, as the director, I'm going to ask you, do you ever recall receiving any information that Ms. Hubble had made threats to kidnap Delara from school because she was upset about being prevented from going to the school?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay, that would be all my questions. All right, is there anything else that's regular?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I, and I apologize real quickly, I just, Dr. Berryman is currently seeing the child, and she has provided a letter. I don't know whether it will be moved to admit and whether it will be objected to if it is. She has a client coming in at 3 o'clock, so if the court wanted to talk to her, I was just gonna suggest that we take a break to call them or if not, I just want to make the court aware of that.
And Your Honor, just to be clear, I've cleared dealt with what I needed to do for this afternoon, and I'm clear to stay until 4:30 if we need to, if the court will
Her
allow.
client's going to at 3.
She has a client at 3 and again at 4, I believe. Yeah.
We'll argue about it later.
Okay.
See if-
I
if
just
it's
wanted to
between
make sure.
3 and 4 if we need to.
Ms. Stevenson, I just have a few more questions. I want to back up to, because I think I heard what you said, and I just want to be clear. So let's go to the point where you're doing the visit, and you guys were doing it, it's kind of hard to tell, but was it a small room? Is it what kind of room was it in?
No, we were on the 3rd floor, which I think is actually the children's floor, and we were in this area. So it wasn't a small room, we were actually out, and we were sitting down like in a chair. So it's probably looks small because of that. She was facing this way, my chair was facing this way, but we were connected.
Okay, so it is a room where you do have to stay kind of quiet,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So, and it sounds like, and what I think I heard you say was that you saw her whisper to her, and then you heard some conversations about homeschool, and then you heard her say something about being on a yellow color at school, right?
Yes, some type of yellow, something pertaining to school. Did you get a yellow for this or something like that? Yeah.
And then something about kicking the teacher.
Yes.
And those were the things that you thought were in violation of the court order and inappropriate, and that you, when those things occurred, I guess kind of in a series, that's when you told her you were going to end the visit.
No, when I heard homeschooling, when she said, okay, let's act like we're in homeschool now, and she turned and faced her, put her glasses on, that's when I told her, let's redirect, that's not inappropriate for you to talk about.
Okay, and that's based on this email from Mr. Geyer?
Correct.
Right? Okay. And you never reviewed the court order?
Correct.
Right? Okay, so, and this email from Mr. Geider doesn't come until November 20th. So can you tell me that what you had as part of your record prior to November 20th that said that visitation should be terminated if mother mentions homeschool?
I think when Leanne actually, because originally when we got the referral, no, Ms. Williams didn't give us a narrative or anything like that. But I don't know verbatim, but I want to say maybe when Leanne actually took over the case in the middle of Judy supervising, but I couldn't give you an exact date or time.
Okay. All right. Now, you know that your caseworkers had some issues with Mr. Geider, too. Did you know
I
that?
had some issues with Mr. Geider. I have an email to back that up as well.
And tell me about that.
Well, my issue was just when he was saying that I want a male monitor because I don't want my daughter in a car, and my concern was, well, you can transport. Our transportation is a courtesy. You can transport.
Okay, he wanted a male monitor?
I'm sorry, he didn't want a male monitor. He didn't want his daughter in a car with a male monitor.
Okay.
So my response was, you can transport.
Okay, and which male monitor was that?
The only one we've had while lead.
The very first one? Okay. Now, do you still have, you don't have the records in front of you? We have marked these as exhibit 5 and 6, that's okay. Now, I want to, take you through August. Okay, well, I'm sorry, let me ask this in a different way. For the matter of trying to save some court time. So when the records are completed for the month, do you review them?
I review them at the end of the month as well as the first week that the records are sent, probably right, so 3 or 4 times a month I review them.
Okay.
Yes, all the final notes as well.
All right, but for the end of each month at least, you have reviewed these records?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so, and I've gone through and I've read every one of them. We've had a visit June the 30th. You would agree with me on that? That was the one?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have like 75 pieces of those.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to make, this is not a trick question, so I'll be happy to pull that out and let you look at it. All right, we're looking at Exhibit 5. So there was a visit, it looks like June the 30th, is that right?
I don't know, that's, yes.
Okay, and that was the one with this male monitor. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that monitor had one visit with, supervised one visit, is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's look at, that's June, here's July. And July appears to be Miss Mullins, is that correct, or can you tell from here?
I don't know unless the back sheet has.
I think that's the one that missed her signature. Okay, so you're not sure who did that supervision,
Correct.
right?
For July.
And then we had August, right?
Correct.
And there's no dispute there that that one was Miss Mullins,
Correct.
right? Okay. Now, and you're saying that every month, at the end of every month, June, July, and August, you would have reviewed these notes?
Yes.
Okay. So you can't sit here today and say that there was anything during the months of June, July, or August that would have caused Camelot to cease providing services, correct?
Not for safety purposes.
Or for any purpose?
I don't know.
Okay, do you need to look at the records to see?
No.
I mean, obviously you didn't cancel the services, right?
Well, I wasn't there, so correct. I didn't cancel the services.
What do you mean you weren't there? You are the supervisor who reviewed these records.
You know, I'm not being argumentative at this point.
Well, I'm just trying to be clear, that's all. But you were the supervisor during,
I just need a ruling on my objection.
overrule.
Thank you.
you were the supervisor during that period of time?
Mhm.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
And you would have reviewed these records June, July, August?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And there is, and Camelot, after your review, Camelot did not do anything to cease providing supervision services?
Correct.
Correct? Okay. Now, okay. Did anybody convey to you that the original intent of the court was 2 months of supervision?
No.
Again, you didn't read the court order, right?
Right.
Okay.
I don't have to when I get it from DCS. It's their recommendations pretty much.
All right, do you have anything else in your file that talks about what DCS recommendations are?
No.
Okay. So how did you initiate this case? How did you open the case? You do an intake?
The initial session is always an intake. Usually when we get the narrative from DCS, it will have some substance as far as like there's a history of abuse and mom needs to work on this or things of that sort, where the child lives and who's doing the visit. So yeah, the initial intake is done at the very first session with whomever that actual monitor is, and we get we get the substance basically from whomever is doing the visit.
Okay. So would it be important to you to know as a supervisor whether or not there was a strict prohibition put there on the mother by the court to say that she could not use the words homeschool? Would that be important for you to know?
No,
It wouldn't?
no,
And
not
why
as a
is,
supervisor.
and why is that? Because you
I'm not
stopped the
doing the
visit
visit.
because, but
I wasn't doing
ultimately,
the
you
visit.
stopped the visit
Well, yeah,
because the
that-
mother said homeschool.
At that particular time when I did the visit, I knew what was actually prohibited. Initially, when we got the referral, I wasn't doing the visit. So I actually mentioned that earlier, like whoever is actually assigned to the case, they're the one that's actually communicating back and forth with DCS and trying to get more substance of the actual case. I'm
Okay.
just overseeing, so yes.
Okay, but you never read the court order.
Correct.
So you took your instructions from Mr. Guider.
And Ms. Reed.
Objection, mischaracterization of Lisa's
I'll
testimony.
sustain that.
And I guess I want to also make an objection as well, because I think the record is clear. I mean, maybe can we take judicial notice that Ms. Hubble is restrained from discussing homeschooling with the child and making derogatory remarks about Mr. Hubble? I mean, this is an order, that's an order of this court, as well as the homeschooling issue for some time now. Can we take judicial notice that the homeschooling issue is off the table for her to discuss with the child?
Well, I have this order in front of me. I don't see the prohibition of saying the word homeschool. It's not in the
It's not
order.
about saying the word homeschool, it's about discussing. Okay.
I want to direct you to August the 26th, 2016. Is that the notes and records of the Camelot records that we've already admitted before this court?
Yes.
And would you read that entry that was made into the record, please?
Case manager received a phone call from Mr. Gadir concerning Delara and her aggressive behavior. He expressed that she was doing fine until her mother began talking to her about homeschooling and going back to the way things used to be. Case manager informed him that Ms. Hubble has mentioned homeschooling, but in reference to what they previously did when she was able to have her in the home. Mr. Gadir was not willing to listen to case manager and became upset and cursing, saying that case manager was full of bullshit when it was mentioned to him about Delara's aggressive behavior and her kicking and trying to fight people when she doesn't get her way. He acted as if that behavior was okay and nothing was wrong with how she expressed herself. He again stated that she didn't display that type of behavior until Ms. Hubble began visiting with her. Case manager asked Mr. Gadir to not curse and listen to what was being said, and he continued to be irate and then told case manager that he was giving Delara money because she said that her mother asked her for money on their last visit. Case manager told Ms. Gadir that Ms. Hubble did not make such a statement. Ms. Gadir abruptly terminated the call and said that he would have Delara at the Green Hills Mall at 4 p.m.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Anything else, Ms. Reese?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry,
I don't.
Ms. Mack? Ooh, Ms. Stevenson, you done. Take your phone and run.
And I just-
You're more than welcome to remain in here if you like.
Okay,
You're
just, I
free
mean,
to go if you need to.
I just want to make sure these records then are being admitted, right? Because I am
Is there
going
anything that you?
There-
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
They are admitted. And I did forget to ask one question. I think you said it already. Is your agency willing to do any more visits with
No, ma'am.
this family? Okay.
One question, Your Honor, in regards to, I just stuck a minute ago, the videos that she showed from her phone, because the judge did see those, Your Honor, I would ask for the record purposes that we have copies of those forwarded to, so they can be entered into the record at some kind of way, because the judge did see it, and for because I keep hearing, appeal purposes, if we could have a copy of that.
I can save it on my phone, but when I tried to email it to him,
It
it
won't
was,
email.
it was sent as to, no, yeah, Team Android.
If we could just have it as a late filed exhibit, Your Honor, I would be fine with that.
I'm not gonna require if she can't do it. If you can figure out how to email it, I know some videos on my phone won't, if they're too big, they just won't be able to.
Well,
cancel.
recorded.
I recorded while she was watching it. Did I do that? Would you agree that I was recording while you played it?
Okay.
Okay, so I recorded while she was playing it for us on your break. So if that's okay, I'll put those on a disc and file them. How's that?
Okay,
That'll
that'll
be
work.
good.
I have no
I have no objection.
That'll work.
So let's
You're
mark
done.
that.
Okay.
So let's put an exhibit number on that.
All right,
and
let's
that's
put that as late file exhibit number 8. Thank you, Ms. Stevenson, we appreciate it. All right. Oh, the video next. Oh, you wanna have the argument now about, I guess we can look at the video because the argument, the doctor won't be ready for another 40 minutes, I guess.
I don't know that she'll be able to see what's for me. Because she has clients.
Her only spot was at.
Yeah, exactly, so. Or absolutely.
Can we just plug, is that a USB? Can we just plug that USB into my computer?
Do you have a USB flash drive for this?
I have a USB in here, yeah.
It's on her computer.
Oh, it's on your,
The disc is on, well, the
right.
video is on the hard drive. We can plug the hard drive in. It's just we have to, I've already got it right at the right place.
Which video? Were we talking about the library video?
Mhm.
I thought she sent a USB drive.
This is her library video. They have a different library video.
Oh, Lydia has one.
No, this is the library video.
But I thought they had it on a,
This is from the library.
they came in with the USB port last week. It was on a USB port.
Right, but I put it on here, so I could play it on here. I mean, I'll file it late.
If she has it
Can-
tuned up to where you want to put it.
Yes, so I'm just asking if we can plug my computer into this, to the projector.
you can, you have right peripheral, the right cord. However, for ease sake, I would suggest you forward the email to me, such as Ms.
It's
Rice did.
10 gigabyte.
Okay.
It's huge. That's why I couldn't put it, transfer it or anything else.
Could you have done it if she had kept it on the thumb drive and just zipped it in
Yeah,
and played it?
Like Ms. Rice did.
That's what she gave us last week. That's what the library gave us, was a
Okay.
thumb drive.
So nobody brought their thumb drive.
She had the thumb drive.
Right, I
They
put
gave
it
her.
on the hard drive so I could play it on my computer.
I'm sure we can plug up your computer to the.
Your Honor, while we do that, can I step out just 1 second? I'm right here at the door.
Turn that computer off and plug hers up.
Or if you just want to use that one, I'll just plug this hard drive into that computer. I'll just close it out. It'll just take me a second to put it where it needs to go.
If you got to play something.
Yeah, may I ask, we just, my client just received notice from the school that the child is suspended, and to
No, I don't have to
be
leave right
able,
now.
well, we're trying to figure out when and if we'll be able to get the child, so we didn't know, if he's going to call as a witness or what. If it was,
Are you asking?
Ms.
if
Hubble
you
was
need
gonna be calling him as a witness if he would need it, or if he could get the child.
You can go. Are you planning to call him for anything?
I don't need to.
Okay.
Ms. Mack, were you gonna call Mr. Guyver? He needs to go pick up the child.
She got suspended again, is that what he said?
Today, just now?
Do you need him for anything?
We can't call Kate.
She's at school, she has class. But they're gonna keep her in the office, I don't have to leave now, but it's better when, I would rather leave if I not needed.
Maybe he can leave and drop her off the drop-in daycare and then come back here.
She was suspended at this hour.
Well, she got suspended earlier, but they
And then go
removed
to
it.
a player.
I was at the course of the year.
She was suspended earlier today?
So it'll have to be through computer because it doesn't be her.
Here's my thoughts, Your Honor. However they want to proceed, I just believe Mr. Gadere based upon what may come out, he may be called to rebut something. I think it will prolong this if Delara is, she's in a therapeutic setting, school. I don't foresee it being an issue unless it's just time for her to get out now, but again,
Okay.
I've watched how they've handled her there, and I don't fear for her safety, I actually fear for theirs, honestly. So I don't know how Mr. Gadere wants to approach that.
He can hang out for a little bit longer.
Yes, sure.
Your Honor, I guess I would object to video. We don't have the original format from the library. They certified that what was given on the thumb drive was correct. I don't know what this is. This is apparently just a portion of it, or it's queued up, and it's not the original format that it was provided in.
It is the original format. I just put it on the hard drive so we could play it on the computer because you have to have, the player has to be on the computer to play it.
I guess my confusion is if they came in, we released them last week, and they said, this is it, here it is, and then it wasn't entered into the record, the court didn't get it, it actually went home with Ms. Regulate and transferred into this.
Yeah, if I make a suggestion just for the record,
Yes, sir.
I would suggest, in future reference, that you would have it on a movable drive, such as a flash drive. And that way, even if we have to download the applicable player, we can do that in this computer.
You have the thumb drive anymore, this regular?
It's, yeah, well, I have it at the office, yeah.
And you get
But,
somebody to bring it down here?
Probably not now, but I can file it with the court as an exhibit.
It's kind of true, it's submitted as a thumb drive, and it should not have gotten changed. in
Well,
any way.
but we discussed that day that she was going to acknowledge that she was the custodian, what it was.
Right,
and
but she
then
was
let her
custodian
go.
of the
So,
program,
we'll
she
let
was-
her, I will file it and they can come in and review it, but I am an officer of the court, it's pretty clear what it is.
I guess it would have been
It's
easier
not.
if we had all agreed that that would be done last week, so then that way we could have all been on one accord.
Well,
But I understand what Ms. Regulate is trying to do, but I do understand, and now we have a little bit of a barrier, which is the court is basically saying the thumb drive would have worked perfectly for the court,
No.
if that's what they had.
Unfortunately, it wouldn't have, and I wouldn't have known that it needed a special player to be able to do that at that time.
I don't know how the court would want to rule on the changing of the,
We'll go ahead and we'll look at what we can. And then
Okay, so how do you want to, then?
I don't know.
So
I don't know
let
how
me
to
play
work
them
that,
here.
so how
Okay,
to-
so are we gonna play it on the screen? If we are,
It'd
we
be
can.
nice if we could all see it on the screen.
Is it a USB?
Yeah, the school didn't tell me anything. I'm always the last person to know.
She knew I was.
So I called you this weekend, just so I can speak to her about it. That was me.
I called you.
That's what she was saying. I left a voicemail so I could speak with her, so I could kind of, because she was really expecting something on Friday. And I called her so I could talk to her, because I knew she wasn't going to see things that I updated, so to kind of help her understand.
The auto roll.
Close it out now too.
Yeah, close that one. And then try auto roll.
Yep. Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's me.
I'm seeing.
Charlene, you know when her got suspended?
From my understanding, she just got suspended this morning.
She got suspended this morning, but they kept her at school.
Yes,
She didn't have any news left over, she got suspended for.
ma'am. Or she'll be suspended for tomorrow, that's what I understand.
Just one.
Which one? I don't have any.
So she won't be in school tomorrow, but she'll be there on Friday. I've asked them, I asked them in November, please notify me when she's suspended, and they won't do it. It's like I have no rights whatsoever.
What's the date on the order I did?
September-October order, I want to say, Your Honor.
The day we were here was September 15th, the day you signed it was October 15th.
Do you have any records about the ST meeting they had last week?
Of 2016? No, 2015.
2015.
I haven't gotten any.
October
any-
15th, 2015 is when it was entered.
Are we still on the record, James? Because I'm like talking to everyone, feel like I'm at a social club party or something. We're on the record, I'm going to sit down. So they're going to be assessing her all over again. Functional behavioral assessment because she needs some intervention.
She needs her mother. I don't know why anybody can.
That's a role that I cannot take on in September. The school psychologist is going to do what they need to do to behavioral intervention people are going to do.
They've had control of her life for a year and a half, and she's just gotten worse and worse. All these interventions, they're not helping her.
I can't agree that states have all of the interventions in place because
When I found out in September, that she was throwing chairs last year, and it was like, oh, these are, it's like, oh, that's okay, she did this last year too. It's not okay. 8-year-old children do not act that way. And how could they blame it on me when I had no contact for a year? Beyond.
We are on the record that these comments by law cease.
Well, she was engaged in a conversation by Miss Mack.
Well, I started the
Sorta.
conversation. Conversation
Nancy,
started
can you take us off the
when I
record?
found out that my daughter got suspended.
She's got
Yeah.
it, she's got it. And I'll step off. That way we can
Okay,
get
thank
off
you.
it. I won't be here, I won't hear all of it.
do we think we're going to have any progress on this? Because it looks like he's struggling.
It's asking me to download something that